Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to be here tonight. It is April 26th. Tonight is Manifesting Mondays on Practical Magic. And I can't believe I finally got it. And we're about to rebrand come May.
Of course, that's just the way the universe
exactly
goes.
the way it's going to be. I am your host, Donna Vee. Tracy Locke is our audience, and she is all things amazing. So if you have questions, let us know. And of course, the one woman here that we depend on most would be Kim Mazzella, our mindset coach and our light docent. Welcome, ladies. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday. How's it going?
It's going really well.
Okay. That is so convincing. That's why I'm really excited that we're here to learn about pivoting, because when you have a moment like that, it is the best time in the world to pivot. I just want to start out by saying to the guests that are coming in right now, we have someone named Ryan all the way from Ireland. Good evening, Mystics. Lovely. We are going to be taking questions at the end, but we want to know that you're here. So please say hello, and I will put you up on screen as I can. If it's a relevant question, I'll be more than happy to put that up there. But again, like I mentioned, we are talking a lot about pivoting tonight. And I was gifted this amazing book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Macquarie. I don't know. It's really fancy handwriting, so it's really hard for me to tell.
Okay.
And I'm taking a page and saying one of our greatest freedoms is how we react to things is one of the pages. And this is an amazing book. I can't wait to read this entire book, but there's so many great opportunities to pivot throughout this book. It's beautiful. But speaking of beautiful, Kim Mazzella, is it true? Did I get to see you this weekend on an interview?
I was on, Dawn Maloney had me on makeupclasses.com, and she interviewed me on Saturday morning. And if you haven't checked her out, Dawn Maloney at makeupclasses.com, she is amazing. And she has so much content. She's always posting a ton of stuff. I mean, and it's so much free content. If you want to know about what nail polish to wear or what, she just constantly posting, and it was such a fun interview. I really loved working with her, and she actually was one of my clients, so she talked to me a little bit about what it was like to experience working with me. So it was a really nice time. We got to talk a little bit about her, a little bit about me. It was a lot of fun.
That's great. I just finished, we do a segment on Monday nights before our show from 7 to 7:30 called Beauty Quarantine. And I was really excited because we talked about the fact that she was able to manifest her business. And I actually landed the exclusive interview. I'm just saying.
I am impressed by that. Both of you guys. She is wonderful. And when is makeupclasses.com on, you guys? Do you know? I like
in the morning at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And I know that because I get the reminders every day. So 9 o'clock in the morning, she has a segment on. She talks about all things fashion, beauty. She's amazing. She's a wealth of knowledge, that Dawn Maloney.
She is amazing. Yeah. Guess what she is, girl? She's one of our sponsors, which is so exciting.
She is.
Yeah,
she's one of our sponsors, our friends, and she'll be actually one of our guests in the near future because exactly that. She was one of Kim's clients, and she'll be doing a testimonial for Kim, but she also will be having, a nice interview with us about how she did manifest that business.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Really, it's just like all ties up together.
Yeah,
in a nice little bow.
In a nice little bow.
Speaking of tying up together, I'm excited to be tied up together with you girls. No pun intended, and nothing kinky. Don't even get it twisted, kids.
Don't get it twisted.
We are all together tonight, and it couldn't be a better night for that. Like I said, I always look forward to Monday nights because it's just, it's like a breath of fresh air, and it's like a feeling of support. And we're so excited that you, the audience, feel that way as well. And as Donna said, you can always send in questions because I act as the liaison to the audience and ask questions that I think the audience wants to know. It's definitely what I want to know. But if you have questions, we would love for you to write them in as well. So I'm going to start us off tonight by asking the simplest question, the craziest question, and the most basic question. What the heck is pivoting? Because you know why I'm asking that? Because you hear it so often now with everything that's happened with COVID on the business side. Every business is like, we're pivoting, we're pivoting, we're pivoting. So it sounds like a corporate phrase, but I want to know what it actually means in the world of manifestation.
It's a great question. So pivoting in the world of manifestation is pretty much what you do in business as well. But the thing about pivoting is we all have, so many of us are facing traumas, and some of us are facing traumas that are really rough right now. And pivoting is something that you do in the moment. It's not it's not a big thing. So pivoting is when you recognize, when you get to that point and you recognize, I'm feeling bad and I don't want to feel bad anymore. And it's not about a long-term goal. It's not, what I love about pivoting is it's something that you do in that moment when you make a decision that you no longer want to feel bad. So it is a ownership of your power. And so what you do when you pivot is you say, oh, I'm feeling bad, because we may not notice when we're feeling happy, but we always notice when we're feeling unhappy. And so when you're feeling unhappy and you no longer want to feel unhappy, because there's been times I've been unhappy and just I'm not willing to let go of it at that moment. But I don't want to feel bad anymore. I'll say, oh, I'm feeling unhappy. That means, right? This is very important to understand. If I'm feeling unhappy, that means that I have had a thought that is out of alignment with my inner self. So what does that mean? Your inner self, there's a part of you that always has your right answer. There's a part of you that always knows the best solution. You don't have to go out to some psychic to find out what that answer is. You don't have to go to church. Those things are always nice, but you don't have to go anywhere. You literally, if you're feeling bad, it means that you are no longer in alignment with your inner self. You're thinking a thought that your inner self, that part of you that is all wise, doesn't agree with, right? So most of those thoughts are, I'm not enough, I'm not safe, the world is awful, I'll never feel better, I'm never going to get out of this. These are all thoughts that your inner self knows that there's answers to. Does that make sense? So if you're thinking a thought that your inner self disagrees with, you feel bad. That is why you feel bad. There's never a reason other than that you feel bad. That seems sometimes impossible with some of the things that go on in life, because there's events that happen that we'd all agree would make us feel bad. But if you can just hear this, even if it doesn't make sense to you right now, just hear this, that if you are feeling bad, it has nothing to do with what's going on out there. It is because you found a less positive way to think about what you found a way to think about what you're going through that is not in alignment with your inner self. So then what's your step? I must be thinking about something that's not true. What am I thinking about? What do I want is the next question. What do I want? And that question, so I'm feeling bad. I must be thinking about what I don't want. What do I want? Right? It's that simple. I'm feeling bad. I must be thinking about what I don't want. What do I want? So the goal with pivoting is to find a sentence. First you say, what do I want? So, give me a scenario. I'm feeling bad.
I want vacation.
What?
Vacation.
That you can't be. You want to go on vacation and you're not on one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I want to go away.
Yeah, and I feel like I can't go away, and I'm really mad because I can't go away, and that's making me. I feel stuck in my house, right? So if you start to feel stuck in your house, which many of us do, I feel stuck in my house. I feel like I don't know anybody. I've like lost my life. And then if you feel how that gains momentum, right? Because all feelings gain momentum, because the way it works is you have a thought, and that thought will produce a biochemical reaction in your body, which produces a feeling. And that feeling is magnetic. And that magnetic feeling will bring another thought to you. It's not going to bring you the thing. It's going to bring you another thought. And that next thought is going to be the next step in the train. So that next step on the train might be like, I want to go on vacation and I can't. I'm going to be stuck in my home. I'm always stuck in my home. I'm going to be stuck in my home forever. And you feel how that starts to feel awful, right? Mm-hmm. And then 10 hours later, you are crying on your couch because you're never going anywhere again, right? And that's how it really feels. And for many of us, that's how it feels, right? After a while, you might say to yourself, well, geez, I don't want to feel bad anymore. And I got to own that maybe it's me that it has gotten me here, right? Actually, it is you that has gotten you there. So I'm thinking about what I don't want, what I want. I want to be on vacation. Okay. Well, I know I can't be on vacation, so that doesn't feel good. Well, why am I going to get it? What I really want, what would vacation mean? It would mean I'd feel free, right? Okay, so I want to feel free. even that sentence, I want to feel free, feels better than I want to go on vacation. So then you could say to yourself, well, because you'll say to yourself, what will vacation mean to me? It will mean that I'm free. Then what you could start to do is find sentences that are in alignment with the fact that you're free, right? Well, I'm not in jail.
Perfect.
So you're
Setting the bar really high.
The what if game.
What?
You're playing the what if game, right?
You could play the what if game. Yeah. Which I play all the time, right? So I call it the what thought feels better game, right? So I could say to myself, well, I'm not in jail. Well, that doesn't make me feel better, right? What if next year all of this breaks open and I go on 16 vacations? Well, that doesn't feel real. What if next year I plan a vacation now that I can take on this, and I could start planning it out in my head? Well, that feels good. Where would I go? And then you could start saying, I don't know, I guess I'd go to Hawaii. Where in Hawaii? I don't know. Let me look at the beaches in Hawaii. And you start to look at the beaches. The second they make you feel bad, like, oh, I'm never going to go there, then you stop and you find another thing. So pivoting is making a decision that you're going to own the way you feel. You're going to recognize that you got yourself there, and you're going to find a way to think about what you really want instead of what you don't want. And the thing is that how we feel is always up to us. And when you own that, when you really make a decision that I'm going to own that I feel bad because I've allowed myself to think powerless thoughts, right? So powerless thoughts are thoughts that are out of alignment with my inner self. And you know, I can't tell you how many times I coach people and they'll say, but this thing happened. Are you out of your mind? And of course this thing happened, but still there's a better way. There's always a way to think about something that will give you relief. And that's what we're looking for, relief. We don't even have to be looking for skipping through the daisies. We're looking for relief. So if I could find that one thing that makes me feel a little bit of relief, then I can find the next sentence that makes me feel even more relief. So it is not about, you know, pivoting is literally just changing direction. I was going in this direction and now I'm going to go in this direction. And you could play the what if game, which is just asking yourself questions. Well, what if? Well, what if? And they could be fun. Or the wouldn't it be nice game is even more fun. Like, wouldn't it be nice if, because wouldn't it be nice? You could be like, wouldn't it be nice if I won the lottery, or if I won a private jet and then I could fly wherever I want by myself and land. And
I mean, in layman's terms, for me, I always picture it energetically like, you know, pivoting is you're driving down a highway and you get to a roadblock. And that's the bad energy. That's the negative energy. And you could sit there the entire night and wait for them to clear the highway. Or you could say, there's got to be another way. And you literally just pivot, which means you turn and you turn around. And you can make a right, a left. It doesn't matter what you do, because even if it's going to take a little bit longer to get where you need to go, because it's not the way you thought you would get there, you still have an opportunity to change a direction at any time. And I know, like, for a lot of us right now, you know, the world threw us a loop a year plus ago. And exactly, a pivot could be a change of direction on a dance floor. It could be a change of direction in an aisle in the food store. How many of us have been going down the food store, like the aisle, and you see that person that you're like, oh, I just don't want to have a conversation.
Now you know, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that's why I don't go to the food store. I don't want to say anything. So you can either continue to go down that lane, right? And by lane, I mean that like as a, you know, parallel to lane in life. You can go down that lane and choose that direction and say, okay, I'm just not going to make eye contact when I get near her, or I'm going to drop my head nice and low. Or you could just say, you know what? I'm going to avoid that altogether because it's not necessary. I can actually go and find the can of beans. If I go around the other way, it'll take me a few extra moments and it'll be way less aggravation.
Okay, which is perfect. That leads right into my question, which is such a great analogy, Donna. What's the difference, girls, between pivoting and denial? Because it feels like there could be a little of both in that. So if I'm like, oh, well, I don't really want to feel that, I'm just going to turn and go the other way, so I don't have to deal with that. So because I know that we've talked about working through things and dealing with things. And Kim, one thing I love that you said, and I don't know if you can say it again a little more slowly, but it was these were like chunks of gold. First thing you said was make a decision that you own the way you feel, which I thought that was the first one that I got down. Then you went through like 3 others and they were all great, but I just couldn't write it fast enough.
I talk so fast.
Yeah, but in that, make the decision that you own the way you feel, right? Like everywhere you are, what I'm getting from you guys, everywhere you are is you. It's based on what you're thinking. So then how do you know when to be like, I'm going to pivot, or when I'm like, I've got to hit this head on and deal with it and not keep skirting around issues? Because it seems like it's a little bit of both on it.
I don't think pivoting is skirting around issue. So you're going to have to face the thing that you're pivoting around. Pivoting is all about your emotional well-being. It's not about what you're facing right now. It's about, when you read A Course in Miracles, they say all a miracle is a change in perception, right? That's it. So pivoting is like a miracle, right? That's it. Well, all it is, which is all it is a huge thing, right? So when you look at something, when you look at something and you see it through the film of being completely powerless, then you are going to have a series of beliefs about that thing that will lead you down a certain path. When you look at the same thing and you come to it as if you are powerful, then you can own it and you can change the way you think about it. When you feel bad about something, you are not poised to really make a great decision about it. Pivoting isn't saying, I'm going to pretend that's not happening. It's, I'm going to see that that's happening and I'm going to find a better feeling thought about it. I'm going to find a way to think about it that doesn't make me feel bad. So pivoting is, okay, it's not raining. Like I listened to an Abraham Hicks tape years ago, and she was talking about how it wasn't raining in the town that she was living in, and it hadn't rained for a really, really long time, and she was feeling terrified about it, right? And as she was listening to it, and then Abraham said, "Well, isn't it amazing that you live in a time where you can get water from different places, right?" Like, and it's true. Like she was still able to survive. Right? It isn't 1604. If it doesn't rain, you know, we can work through those things. And that next thought feels so much better. It doesn't mean that it's all of a sudden going to rain. You're all of a sudden going to manifest rain. But it does mean that you move the energy so that you can move in the direction of finding solutions. Because our solutions, the solutions that we want, are on the platform of our power, not the platform of our powerlessness. Right? So I always feel like we're standing on one platform and we're on one or on the other. And so when you're pivoting, you're recognizing that you're standing on the platform that is not going to give you any answers that you want. And so you need to move to the platform where your answers are. So it's not about avoidance, right? So if something really terrible happens in your life, you're not going to pretend that terrible thing isn't going on, but you're going to find a way to think about it that doesn't feel like complete devastation. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to find a way to think about it that's going to make you start skipping through the daisies, but you may find a way to think about it where you feel like you could sleep tonight, if that makes any sense, where you feel like tomorrow will be another day and you'll find a better solution or you'll find a better way to think about it. So it's not about avoidance.
That makes sense to me.
I mean,
go ahead, Donna.
I just want to say, it is personal, but I think it's something that people can identify with. I know for me, pivoting was the moment that I realized and recognized that when I lost Yogi, and I was so sad and so devastated and still am. But you know what I'm not anymore? Worried that he's going to die. Now, I know that sounds strange to some people, but that to me was a huge pivot, because I was walking around for weeks, literally weeks, months, afraid that he was going to die. I was afraid that he was suffering. I was afraid that I wasn't going to have enough money to help him. I was afraid. And I was living in this space of fear that I will say that when we had to do what we did for the betterment of my family member, I will say that it made a huge difference when I was able to look at it. Now, it didn't happen like that second, but there was a moment that I remember, and I said to myself, you know what? The one miracle I found from it is I no longer am scared and worried that he's going to die. So it allowed me to move in through the emotional scale to the next part of my journey with that experience, which is the mourning process and the appreciation process. And I think that that's something that happens with a lot of things in life. You know, avoidance, you were asking about, well, what is it, avoidance, or what was the word that you used? Skirting around. What did you say?
Denial. What's the difference between pivoting and denial?
Well, pivoting and denial is, well, I'm right here and I see the lion and I am not going to go face to face with the lion. So I'm going to turn on my heel and I'm literally physically going to pivot. Denial is I'm standing there and I'm like, there's no lion in front of me. So like, that's the difference between.
Right. But on that same note, if you think that you turning is not going to have that thing, it's just going to jump on your back.
So I use a lion because
I'm just saying.
Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about people have broken up in relationships, divorce.
Right.
You know, you are faced with the fact that I'm sorry, I'm going to say that a spouse is cheated, right?
Okay.
Or with a spouse that's cheated. I can either avoid it and I could live through it and say, well, if I don't even acknowledge that this happened, then it didn't happen. I'm going to live the rest of my life the way that I am, unfulfilled in a relationship that's not honest or true. I could pivot and I could have a moment and say, what's my worth here? What is it? Why am I here? What am I doing here?
Right.
So I guess the lion sounds a little bit outlandish. I was just trying to put it into a perspective of, you know, a little bit. Making an analogy, but we all live in a space, you know, where my bills, you know, if I don't have enough money to pay my bills, I'm just going to keep them in a nice, neat pile and I'm not going to answer the phone anymore. That's denial. But pivoting would be, I'm going to call up my creditors and say, I'm in financial dire straits because of this, you know, COVID that's going on. And I'd like to know if there's any leniency. Facing it and changing the energy, taking control of something is pivoting, where denial is looking that lying husband or spouse or whomever, or looking those bills in the face and going, I'm just going to stick my head in the sand and I'm going to assume that everything's just going to get better. No, you have to make a decision on your heel to move and avoid that traffic.
Totally makes sense.
Right. And no one says that they want to pretend that they don't have bills, right? So I'm thinking about what I don't want, which is I can't pay my bills. What do I want? I want to come up with solutions. That's what most people would want. So if you answer that, I want to stick my head in the sand, nobody really wants that. You're not connecting to yourself. Right. So I do think part of pivoting is you have to be at least in the place where you're willing to stand in your truth. Right. So, and if you're not, then that's going to be part of your journey. Right.
Yeah, because the law of attraction doesn't know the difference between what you want and what you don't want. And I put that up before. Law of attraction cannot differentiate what is right or wrong for you and what you want or do not want. It simply will attract to your life more of what your focus is on. And that is a huge statement. And that is something so important for people to realize, myself included. I've walked around for days, you know, I've told you this last week with the balloons, trying to change things. But if I allow the negativity in, I'm like, damn it, I did it again. And if I could take small naps in the middle of my day, I'd probably be a better person. But that's not really reality right now, right? So we are all living in this life is in the fast lane of some of us in a rapid fire, almost like I need to figure out how to pivot through this disappointment, pivot through this anger, pivot through this feeling.
And pivoting is like that small nap. Pivoting is a decision, right? That's all it is. And it's a decision about a feeling. It's not a decision about, I'm thinking about what I don't want. What do I want? You could even add, what do I want to feel, right? Because, you know, if you want, you know, what do I want? A Maserati. Well, you know, if you have $4 in the bank, but I want to feel like I have a Maserati. You know what I mean? Like that could, I want to feel like I could afford one day. That might even be more honest. Like the more honest you can get with yourself and pivoting, the more powerful that pivoting can become. Because really, and we were just talking about this before the show, that manifesting is really about getting to an emotional state of being content. And so what we're constantly manifesting is an emotion. When you manifest the emotion, you will be in the position to attract the right thing into your life. But the work is to manifest the emotion, not the thing. Even if you want the thing, that doesn't mean, because honestly, if you want something so badly, you're not really poised to get it because you want it so badly, right? if you, because there's a difference between wanting and allowing, right? Wanting is yearning, and it doesn't sound fun. Allowing it, I'm gonna want. Just listen to the difference of I want $100, or I'm allowing $100. I mean, one sounds like it's more possible. The other one sounds like a yearning. And so I do think that when it comes to pivoting, it's really about, if you can understand that, if you want something, it could make you feel worse in the yearning process. Pivoting is just about deciding that you are going to be in control of the way you feel, right? And that you're going to take control by asking yourself the right questions, if that makes any sense.
Well, think about a kite. Think about a kite that's on the ground, right? And you think about a kite that wants to be in the air and allows to be in the air. You could hold a kite all you want on a day that's not windy. And it's like, okay, well, I'm a kite. You know what I mean? But like, you have to know, okay, so you're aligning with the emotions of taking flight. So there are certain things you have to do, like, you want to meditate in the morning. You want to get yourself in alignment with it. Well, so does that kite. It has to align with a windy day, right? It doesn't mean necessarily it's always going to fly, but it's definitely got a better chance on a windy day than it does on a day that there's not even a breeze.
Yeah, unless you're a really good runner. And is that fun?
Well, I ran today, I will tell you. I still got it, but I mean, I was out of breath, so I'm not with any flight.
You're like, no more kite flying for me.
No.
No.
I'm done with the kite.
What do you got for us? Any other questions?
No, I mean, not yet. I guess I do, actually. I shouldn't say that. So are there tools that you can use to learn to pivot? So I know you obviously say to yourself, what's a better thought right now? Are there any other things that you could be saying to yourself or doing I know that people have talked about having like a rubber band, when you're thinking a bad thought and you snap it and you remind yourself like, okay, think something else, think something better. Are there any tangible things we could be doing for that? Because that's the big hot button with me, is like, what can I actually be doing?
That's a great question. The thing about pivoting is, part of it is, are you willing to pay attention to the way you feel? And when you're not feeling good, are you willing to do the work? Mm-hmm. But there is another tool that I teach, and I teach it a lot of different ways. So there's a lot of different ways that you use it, but it's called segment intending. And segment intending can be done a lot of different ways. So it could be a decision that you make at the beginning of the day to go in, like every time you do a certain thing, like it could be as often as you change rooms, or if, in COVID times, maybe it has to be as often as you change rooms, but it could be like every time you go to the bathroom, or it could be every time you get into your car. Divide your day into segments, right? And there's several different ways you could do the segments. One is you could start the day with saying, I'm going to do my best to make the best of it, or stay in joy, or not necessarily in joy. I'm not always striving for joy, but I'm always striving to be content, right? Because I understand that the way I feel is attractive, and I don't necessarily want to attract what I don't want. And also, when I get angry, I tend to create scorched earth, so I don't want to do that either. So,
earth.
So I always say it's like I get my Italian girl out, and she comes out and she's very nasty.
Jersey Italian.
And I'll say whatever's on my mind, and then you can't take it back. And that's scorched earth. When you say that nasty thing that's in your head, thankfully, I've been doing this work a long time, and I don't create scorched earth like I used to in my 20s. Every once in a while, I do flame the area.
Like a dragon. Right. I think we all do that.
Yeah, and you're like, wow, I really ruined that land. And I'm not going to be able to farm on it for a really long time.
That's a really great. I like that, though. I think that we've all scorched some earth. Like, that's a really nice way, a more poetic way of saying burning a bridge. I mean, at least, if we're on Earth, I think that you could reseed it, like and
years later.
Yeah, like Chernobyl years later.
Earth thing, yeah.
50 years later, maybe. Right.
Yeah. Chernobyl years later. Well, that's still sitting there empty, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's my whole
barren
point.
Land. Look who's here. I want to say hello to some more people that came in. Vivian Lee Stratos, Milano. I love that. That's like a trifecta of a word.
She's awesome. She's amazing.
Dawn Maloney must have known that her ears were, crispy, and Prince of Ali is here.
Hey, Chris.
Wrigley. It's the Chris show.
Oh, I'm going to Chicago this weekend.
Ooh, lucky you. Nice and windy. Hopefully not. Hopefully it'll be nice and warm for you.
I'm not even going to Chicago's Pizzeria because they don't have outside seating.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. She slides it in, ladies. Okay, well.
Slides it in like a pizza. Hey, my friend Kathy Cousins is here. What's up, Kathy? Kathy, is your picture my book?
Yes, it is. It looks like it.
You talk about manifesting.
Oh my gosh.
I cannot believe it.
I think it is. Look at that. You're like, I nailed it.
That is amazing, Kathy. That is an amazing, I just have to say, talk about manifesting. My friend Kathy was in the salon this weekend. She gave us so many beautiful, kind words. She watches our show regularly. And I was sharing with Kim. She loved the visualization tools that we did. And I'll tell you what? I did just eat pizza alone in my car. So I don't know who.
Just get a pizza and sit alone in your car like I do. When you want to pivot
tonight. I'm not kidding. What is happening here?
I know, but magic is happening. Is that when you want to pivot? Do you do that, Donna?
Yeah, I do. I wanted to pivot, and I was like, I know my daughters because one's gluten-free, the other one's not eating it, wouldn't eat pizza. So tonight I legitimately went and got pizza and sat with the top down in my car. It was like, I'm like outdoor dining.
Al fresco. Pow! Al fresco. Fancy Nancy.
So funny. I love it. Kathy, I love this book. I was given this book actually by Joan and Jeremy from Ireland.
I love it. Can I say something now that we're talking about books? Because we're halfway through the show and I just want to talk about this. We have an amazing sponsor of Manifesting Mondays that I want to talk to you about. I would love to thank this sponsor. The name of the sponsor is, you might know her. It's called Storytime with Donna Vee. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and you can see it on Facebook. You can see it on Instagram and on YouTube every day from 10 a.m. to 11 Eastern Standard Time. Let me say that again. Every single day from 10 a.m. to 11, and it's Eastern Standard Time. And you join Donna.
Not yet, but it will be back on Saturdays. It's just not on Saturdays right now.
Okay, don't mess up this promo. I've been working really hard. Okay?
I'm honest.
Join Donna, the non-argumentative Donna. The one that's on Storytime is actually super sweet. Okay, now join Donna as she magically creates an environment of fun and joy where kids can feel safe, supported, and loved. So you've got to check out Storytime with Donna Vee. Again, she's one of our sponsors. We love her, and it's a magical moment, a magical hour that your kids and even some adults would love. So I just want to slip that in there.
Well,
go ahead, ladies.
Because one of the things I want to say is that if you are an adult watching this show and you love this show, I am not teaching the exact same things at all, but the same principles always apply because I really do believe in living my life like this. I mean, I'm not saying I have a picture perfect day every day, but I pivot when I can and I try to be positive. And I'm very lucky and blessed to be surrounded by, so many amazing people in my life. The two women on here, besides Kathy Cousins, there's so many people around me that I surround myself with. It's kind of like, I try to do the same thing for kids. So we talk about manifesting, we talk about being in positive moods, gratitude, all that stuff, even with the kids. Because I think that, the reason why so many people love to watch and join in while we're talking like this huge, group is because it's stuff that really speaks to even your inner child. So I was like, I'm going to just start teaching kids.
Awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah. And I have a question that just came to when you guys were talking about all that you're doing, which I think is really important. So I love the idea of pivoting. I'm definitely going to implement that into my life. But here's a really serious question that's coming up all the time now. How do you pivot, Kim and Donna, in conversation? Okay, so there's a lot of conversations that are coming up now that are constantly coming up, like the vaccination conversation, where you just don't want to engage, but you don't want to ignore. So is there a way to pivot respectfully in conversation? Okay, so I understand the theory of pivoting in your head of like, I'm going to go to the better thought. But how about in conversation, especially during these times when people are all talking about a lot of the same things all the time?
This comes up so often in my life coaching. I cannot describe it. We are allowed to have our own opinion, and we're allowed to believe what we believe. And I do think that sometimes there are some people who have really good reasons for not wanting to get vaccinated, and God bless them. And there are some people who have really good reasons for wanting to get vaccinated, and God and bless them. When we spend our time in judgment of others, it is because we are it's called projection. So we are taking the stuff that we don't want to look at and we're putting out in the world, and that makes us feel safe, right? So what we do when we project is we have all this stuff in us. And A Course in Miracles says that we must extend. We must, because that's how we create. We must give away all day long. We are. So we give away our thoughts that we don't want to own by projecting them onto others. That's why, that's why we come into a lot of the news having our own ideas, and two people could watch the same news show and come away with two different things, because we bring ourselves everywhere we are, right? So that's really hard, especially like my mother describes herself as, she lives in a state where everybody is very conservative and she's very progressive, right? And my father is even very conservative. So she's, one of the things I love about my parents is they're two people who are very different political views who are married, right? So you can be married to someone you disagree with. Isn't that amazing?
And it happens all the time.
Yeah, right? So there's two things. The first thing is that this really comes to that place of letting go of the good opinion of others, right? I talk about this all the time, letting go of the good opinion of others. But when you're in that conversation and someone says, well, you should get vaccinated, right? Because that comes up, right?
Sure.
Or why would you get vaccinated, right? When someone would ask you a question like that, you can say to yourself, like, the more you feel confident in your decision, understand that person is projecting their thought on you. And your job is to, if you really want to stay in a good place, is to own that you're okay. And you could say, I'm really sorry that you feel that way. I disagree, right? And you can say, I don't want to talk about this, right? I don't like to talk about sex or politics, right? These are really honest things, because no one really gets to decide, unless I ask you what you think about my hair color, I really don't think you have the right to tell me how you feel about it, right? But people do, right? You get your hair cut, people will be like, I love it, or I don't love it. Right. People tend to say these things. So really, all of these things are opportunities for you to get in touch with yourself, right? You to get to that space where you feel really comfortable with who you are. And if you don't feel comfortable with the response, that means that because there's a line in A Course in Miracles called "In my defenselessness, my safety lies," and it's something I teach in the beginning.
Can you say that again and say it a little slower?
In my defenselessness, my safety lies. So if you can learn this, then you are golden. Because here's the truth: is that in any interaction at all, if you are trying to change someone else's opinion, or you're trying to defend yourself, if someone says something to you and you're trying to defend yourself, stop and put your hands down. And the reason why you want to do that is, when you're defending yourself, all defense is a form of attack. Because Donna, Tracy, if I looked at you and I said, why did you dye your hair purple? You wouldn't get mad at me. You would say, Kim, maybe you need to go to the eye doctor, right? You wouldn't be mad.
Right.
But if I said to you, Tracy, I don't know, what do you think about your hair like that? Right? Like,
right.
You would be like, because you don't feel 100. No woman on planet Earth is like, my hair is perfect. Right?
Right. Sure.
Right. So your job, when someone's telling you, getting in a conversation in which you disagree, if you feel really calm about yourself and don't defend yourself, you are halfway there. You're already at that place where you can be calm. The second thing is to understand that everybody's projecting, right? So if you're projecting your stuff on me, there's a book called The Mystic Path to Cosmic Power. It's the first book I ever read when I was a young woman on spiritual law. It was like written in the 20s. And he said, the one who is always calmest and most secure in the conversation wins. Right? And I'm like, wow. Right? So this is like something that most of us kind of know. But if someone asks you a question and you don't want to respond, you have the perfect right to say, I don't really like to talk about that, right? Even if it's your best friend, I don't really like to talk about that. I don't talk about, these things, and I don't want to talk about that either. And then if they keep at it, say, it really makes me uncomfortable. You're allowed to say these things. Isn't
it wild though? Because we're so trained to be polite. So I mean, since we were little children, it was always, be polite. I don't know about you guys, but no matter what, or children were supposed to be seen and not heard. In my house, the joke was you weren't supposed to even know we were existing. So it was just like we walked around on eggshells and on tiptoes. And I think that that's something, approaching the midway point, because I plan on living till at least 100, shortly. I was always amazed that people would say whatever they wanted. And I'd say, how is it that you say whatever you want? And then people that were older than me, women especially, would say, just wait till you turn 50. You're going to say whatever you want. But it's not like there's this magical thing that happens to when you're 50. It's that you're finally at the point where you're like, okay, I can see that if I'm going to live to 100, I'm 50, and people have still been asking me these same questions over and over, questioning my legitimacy, my choices, my life. You just at one point, you get like that raw nerve, that sunburned shoulder, and you're just like, stop poking me. And I did chase
you snap.
I did. A woman hit my car. And I am not proud of my moment.
But way to blow up her spot, Ryan. Way to blow up her spot.
No, but I literally got out of my car and jogged like I was on the show Cops.
Oh, that's when you ran.
And I ran and I knocked on her window and I'm like, you hit my car. And she's like, no, I didn't. And I'm like, yes, you did. I was right in the car. And she's like, no, I didn't. And I was just like, but you did. Like, she really had a completely different take on what happened.
What did she think happened? She was pivoting. She was thinking a better thought.
Yeah, she was thinking like, and I'm going to like, I don't know. But my point is I had to let it go. But I probably would just 20-year-old Donna would have just sat there like a sitting duck, like, the person just hit my car. But no, I reacted. Maybe that wasn't the best thing. Thanks a lot, Ryan. But
I think that you stood up for yourself. Like,
yeah,
you didn't say you hit my car and the person didn't. Like, that would be an issue. But you said you hit my car to someone who actually hit it.
Right. And I have a picture of your license plate. And it was crazy. But when you're talking about the conversation about the vaccine, and I can honestly say that, you have that a lot in life coaching, and I have it every single day. And I just find it fascinating that it has become commonplace. So maybe anyone that might be watching this can get this out of this. This is what I offer to anyone that's watching. I don't offer my opinion on the vaccine, whether to get it or whether not to get it. But if I may offer my personal takeaway, it would be stop asking, because it is obnoxious and I find it rude that someone will walk into my business after being safe from June, and the first words out of their mouth are not anything about like, how you doing today? What's going on today? It's, what's your status on the vaccine? And I'm like, what? And I just think that no one would say, hey, did you get your pap smear this week? Hey, how your boobs doing? Did you get them? Like, I get why people are doing it, because it affects them as well. But so does safety. So I find for myself as a business owner, I find it more offensive that I went to Target today and there are people that walk through the door with the mask on and then take the mask down. And to me, that's more offensive than someone that with the vaccine right now. It's like, be socially responsible. Don't walk in and say, I'm doubly vaccinated. Can I just take off my mask now? No, you can't. It's like saying, I had a vasectomy. Should I wear a condom if we're going to have random sex? Listen, I don't want your STD. Put it on. It's just like, keep it on.
But what's interesting is, because I felt very confident in my vaccine decision, it didn't dawn on me that question would be something someone didn't want to ask until the first time someone didn't want to ask it. And then so answer it. And then I thought, oh, this is a prying question. People have views that they don't want to share on this. Like, so then my eyes were open. I never asked that question again. Right.
Well, it's just like the same question that we were dealing with earlier this year was, who did you vote for? We never asked that before. No one ever asked, who did you vote for? I mean, do you know what? It's really no one's business who you vote for. That's the whole point of being an American and having the right to choose. But we make it's very interesting. I mean, again, I felt very, very secure in who I voted for. And I was excited to vote for who I voted for, but I would never ask someone else who they voted for because it's just really not my business. And truth be told, just to your point, you're not going to change their mind anyway. Maybe you can enlighten someone on a topic they don't know, but to go into with changing someone's mind is not the way to do it. So that's what my point is on that statement, Kim, is I think it's amazing to think about projection because we don't think about that's what that really is. You're projecting your fears and your judgment on someone else. And that's a lot to think about when you have those thoughts.
Yeah. Well, that's why I would say every relationship is really 4 people. Between 2 is 4. It's me and my inner self and how far away I am from my inner self, and you and your inner self. And so a lot of times if I'm really far away from my inner guide or inner self, I'm pushing that stuff out onto you. So, I mean, I've had so many experiences where I've looked back and said, I got angry about that. And that was really my stuff. But, as you get older, you get better at these things too. You get better at seeing your own stuff. Like, I'm really good at seeing other people's stuff. I'm trained in it. But when it comes to my own stuff, it's really, I'm really getting in the groove of getting better at it, but I still get tripped up, like the question of the vaccine. Now, thankfully, that question answer came very, very early on when someone told me that made them uncomfortable. And I was like, oh, this could possibly.
Someone actually said it makes them uncomfortable?
I don't want to talk about that. I'm like, oh, this could be something that people don't want to talk about. Okay. And then I never talked about it again with anybody. I let people know how I feel about it, but it's not necessarily for other people to tell me how they feel about it.
It's like we went from a HIPAA law where you couldn't learn anything to, I am going to just impose my feelings on you. And the one thing I find that I don't even want to answer it because either side of it, and either way I answer it, if I were to answer and say, you know what, right now I'm not comfortable, or right now I just really don't have a day off to get sick, and I'm more scared that I'm going to have a reaction where I'm going to be laid up for 2 or 3 days or more, like I've heard, because it will really throw my business off kilter. I don't even have a moment to get sick. Like, that is a real truth right now for me. And but the thing is I'm not saying it to you to make you feel bad about getting the vaccine. And the funny thing is that I would never say who or whatever, but there was a moment in my salon, in my chair, where a client was teetering, had gotten it, heard what I said, and they were like, oh. I'm like, I'm not saying it to you to make you feel bad, so please don't put that on me. I'm not campaigning either way. You asked me, and I'm just telling you where I'm at.
But I think the other thing to really understand is that there are so many more things that bring us together than separate us. So many. And we always seem to talk about or focus on the things that separate us. And if we could take some time and focus on the things that bring us together. But, one of the things I teach constantly, you both took courses with me, is chaos is so much more interesting than peace. It is so much more interesting to talk about. It's so weird and if we could get used to talking about peace, because peace feels really super boring in the beginning. You're like, okay, everything's working out. You're like, okay.
I wouldn't mind a little boredom right now.
Boredom is good.
I think that's where, as a country, as a world, as a planet, as a human, we have to get to the point where we want peace. One of the first obstacle of peace in A Course in Miracles, first obstacle, they list a whole thing of obstacles of peace, is number 1 is the desire to get rid of it. Right? So we say we want peace, but we don't really, because peace in the beginning feels really super boring. Right? There's not much to talk about. You don't have a lot of drama in peace.
Right. Is there a way, Kim and Donna, that you can, I guess you can only be responsible for yourself. I already am going to answer my question knowing it, but is there a way you can help someone learn how to pivot, or you could turn, you can make someone see the value in pivoting? For instance, like if you're in a relationship with someone or you're very good friends with someone that sees things that always goes the negative, and you see them doing it, but you don't want to project onto them, but you want to say like, hey, is there a way, could you bring up the pivoting conversation? Or does that seem like you'd be projecting on someone else? Like, just let them do whatever they're going to do.
Well, it depends how close a friend they are with you. Like, I mean, I tend to life coach everybody I come in contact with. I just cannot help.
You're like,
you're going to not be able to complain a lot.
Right.
There's a difference, by the way, between talking about what's going on in your life and what's sad. And there's a lot of sad stuff. That's not complaining. But if you're talking about the same thing over and over and over again, and you're not coming up with any pivoting solutions,
yes.
I'm not too open to having those conversations. I'm just not.
Right, but how would you handle that? How would you?
I would say this. I see that this is really paining you, and I get it, because I understand how that could be painful, right? I really do. But I believe that within you is a part of you that is so much stronger and so much better, and that's why it makes you feel bad. And when you're ready, like when you want to make that change, I am totally here. I'm totally here for you to help you make that change if you need support. And if you don't need support and you can figure it out on your own, that's great. But I am here if you want to make me. And be really honest, because sometimes, I'm sorry, there have been times in my own life I'm not ready to pivot. I mean, if I've been punched in the stomach, I'm not going to be like, oh, let me just pivot right now. If I'm in grief, most people in grief need to grieve before they're ready to pivot.
Yes.
Think about a boxer. Think about a boxer. And the first shot they take, they can go down. And the second, and they get up, and then they get shot down and they get up. And there's a part where you have to like just count them out, and they need to go home and heal. And it's going to take a while. But the problem is like, usually the boxer's not getting punched in the face in the ambulance on the way out. It's like they pretty much have a moment to breathe. But it's funny when you said those words, I turned to a page, and I remember I said, this book literally has so many opportunities. That's not why it was gifted to me. Actually, it was just a sweet gift. But when I opened it, I was like, this is amazing for Monday night and talking about pivoting, because one of the pages says, what is the bravest thing you ever said? Asked the boy to the horse, and the horse says, help. So I think that a lot of what we don't realize is that some people don't really know how to ask for help, or even if they do, and they may have asked for help, and if there's nobody coming, it's just, or if no one comes, I know I feel a lot of that way myself. So I don't know if that's who you're referring to, because I know myself, I'm so negative lately. I can't even stand myself.
With Donna, now that you bring it up, no.
I know. I swear to you, I'm like, you don't think I see that you're talking about her?
It wasn't about you. That's hilarious.
I know. I don't know that actually, but but I'm saying that there are certain things that you have to just go through. And like this right now is what this time in life, so many. I have never seen so many people. Now I see, like Kim sees a lot of people, some people are isolated and they don't see it, and they're, in their space. Remember, I've said this before. It's my favorite analogy. Some people are like a diamond. They're alone, like one piece under a lot of pressure. And then there's other things like oysters and pearls. And I always say the pearl comes from an aggravating piece of sand. And there are unique opportunities to learn how to pivot and create a boundary and a barrier around that aggravating piece of sand that does create a pearl. So there are, like I said, realizing that my dog is not suffering to me is a definite pearl. From the fact that he passed away, it's a definite pearl. I'm at a place where I can say that my staff that left, which if you've been watching this from the beginning, you've seen all the different things that we've all experienced as a team and on our own. I looked at that as a horrifying act of what happened, but I know we're on different levels of how we react to the pandemic. I've seen through social media, they go out without masks a lot. They go out to eat. They're out. That's not judging, but what a gift to me that they're not there, because I would be on such high alert all the time at work, saying to myself, oh my God, I'm going to catch it from them. Oh my God, I'm not going out. I'm going home and going to work, and I'm going to Target doubly masked or what have you, and doing things as responsibly as I can, to have people surrounding me that are not in the same level of, playing field, as you will, with this pandemic, would make me a nervous wreck. So yes, I'm working more solitary, but it's a gift, for as much as I find it such a hardship right now. And what a hardship I have. I'm a popular hairdresser because I've built a business for 20 years. And my biggest hardship is I'm hard on myself because I can't service people the way I'd like to, because I'm one person. So my struggles are realistic. I know for myself. I talk to a lot of people and they feel the same way. Like, you can only do so much, but the hardship, I know I put myself through it a lot, which is, and like Kim says all the time, I know it's me. It's not them. It's me.
Well, I was going to say too, and pivoting is about that, whatever moment you can grab. Sometimes we can't, but sometimes we can. So if you get that moment where you're like, I want to feel better right now, that's when you pivot. So it's just about saying, I think about what I don't want. What do I want?
Exactly. Right. We have a great comment. I got so numb from everything I went through going into last year. My life started snowballing in 2018 and it just would not let up. It's just barely starting to feel like I'm breathing again. Congratulations. I'm glad to know that you feel that you are on a positive upswing, and I really appreciate your vulnerability, that word, and your sharing with us. I really do appreciate that, because again, I think there are so many more people that feel this way, that are just quiet because we're not allowed to collectively be in groups. If you are on the side of being really cautious, the women that come in, the gentlemen that come in, they're like, listen, you're the only place I go. So imagine that. If I hear that 9 times a day from 9 different people since June, that's a lot of people not collectively having conversations. That's a lot of people that at one point would maybe be sitting at a friend's table or a restaurant or a bar or a comedy show or anywhere, letting off steam, a bowling alley, wherever you want to be. People are not letting off steam, and we're turning into these little tiny hot pockets where you really cannot let it go, because then all of a sudden, what do we sound like? Complainers. I can't talk about it. I feel like I'm just complaining. And unfortunately, but fortunately, there's us. And I'm not just saying that to be silly. I'm saying it in the respect of, if maybe people need this kind of conversation, can't afford to go to a women's group, can't afford right now to get, in with a life coach like Kim. This is the beginning. And then you learn the basic tools, you manifest things, and momentum will build. And then you hire Kim personally. And then just take me for a ride in Maserati is all I'm going to say. Exactly. You love that. That leads me to something. Women, if you want to empower yourself even more, Wednesday night, Girls Gone Green is one of our sponsors. And we will be teaching you 8 o'clock to 8:30 different components and different parts of the game of football, so that you don't have to be a football widow. And you know what? That sounds so sexist, and I apologize, but perhaps, maybe, I don't know who you're watching football with or not watching football with, but watch it with us. And this week, Dawn Maloney will be there. You know why? It's Cinco de Mayo, and she's going to have a fun treat to share with us. And I don't cook, so I get to eat this Wednesday, because that means she's dropping food off to me.
Oh, ole, ole.
Cinco de Mayo?
It is Cinco de Mayo on Wednesday.
It's the 5th of May. Cinco de Mayo.
Right?
Yes,
is it this week or is it next week? Oh, wait, I'm a week early.
It's next week. That's all right. We know what you meant. We know what you meant. We knew exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm using my stress banana.
That is the best stress thing I've ever seen. Who can I ask?
I don't
gave you that?
Really?
I thought somebody else gave that to you.
No, please,
okay.
That would be a whole different conversation about
busy.
No. Oh, thank you. You're welcome, Ryan. He said, "Great show, Mystics." I'm so
thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Card? Don't we need a card?
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody.
We're both like, wait a minute, who was supposed to bring a card? I didn't know what you meant. Now I do.
No, I will be posting these pretty often. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of slacked today. Maybe I'll put it up today. But these are the affirmation cards, and I gotta say, they're fun, they're nice, and they're funny. So one of you guys Just tell me when to stop, and then the other one can say.
Can I talk to you about that affirmation card thing really quickly before you do it? The affirmation card thing is such a cool idea. Do me a favor when you do that affirmation card. I'm dying for you to read it to me, the whole thing. Because when you do the I can't read it that fast.
After the first day, I did start reading it.
Okay, but read it like nice and slow, because I watch it every day and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't get that affirmation. And
I know my daughter said the same thing. They're like, Mom, you're gonna give us like a stroke if you keep like
epileptic fit. Yeah, we're gonna go.
I just love TikTok because it's so much fun with all the different things. I don't know if you saw my fish one today, but
yes, I did. Yeah, that's why I sent you that message.
I was underwater today. Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you, Vivian, for watching. We're so happy that you're here. Don't forget, you can subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already. And that's a lot of fun. All right. Somebody tell me to stop. The other one, pick top or bottom.
Oh. Stop.
All right. Top or bottom card?
Top. I have to say top.
Chris, we get it now. Okay.
It's all making sense.
Generosity. I give generously to those around me, no matter how much or how little I have. I know there is more than enough to go around, and that the key is to allow it to keep going around without stopping. If I stop the flow, I'm like the one person at the stadium who doesn't do the wave.
Awesome.
That's right.
I love that.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
I love it. You're very welcome, Kathy. I love the fact that we have the same book right now.
I know. So awesome. So cool.
You know, Kathy loves horses, and this whole book is about a boy, a mole, a fox, and a horse from the different perspectives. You ladies. Oh, and Kim, we have a gift for you from Ryan. And is it over here? I gave it to Tracy when she was here, and I have to get it to you.
Wait, I can get it. It's right in front of me. Hold on, Kim.
Oh, I got a gift.
There's more. An executive producer, and he gave us a gift, and I think it would be interesting. We're going to post it up. So if anyone wants,
so beautiful, Kim. Ready? Hold on.
I'm so excited.
Ooh.
I love that.
It is a gorgeous, beautifully decorated, very nice gratitude journal.
Oh my God, I love it.
Isn't that beautiful from our executive producer, who Bosley takes good care of us?
Yes.
I'm honored.
So, and next week, don't forget to look for us under our new name. It's a big surprise. I'm so excited. We're rebranding May 1st, baby. That's right. Ladies, this was a pleasure. I love spending time with you. Tracy, Kim, thank you so much. Everyone, thank you for watching. We'll see you next Monday on Manifesting Monday, but it's going to be a different name. And we're not
yeah, be ready. Be ready.
We're so
get excited.
Thank you. Namaste.